Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is the 1971 Cleveland Indians AL MLB baseball season. Again, the Tribe was playing in the American League, the junior circuit of Major League Baseball. And home games were played at Cleveland Municipal Stadium downtown on Lake Erie, where First Energy Stadium now stands. The Tribe had a tough year in 1971. They finished in sixth and last place in the American League East with a record of 60-102, 42 games under 500. Winning percentage of .370, 43 games out of first. The first place team was the Baltimore Orioles, who were 101-57, winning percentage of .639. Second place, the Detroit Tigers, 91-71, 12 games out of first. Third place, the Boston Red Sox, 85-77. Fourth place, the New York Yankees, 82-80. Fifth place, the Washington Senators, 63-96. This was the last year of the Washington Senators. In 1972, they would be the Texas Rangers. And in sixth and last place, the Cleveland Indians, 60-102. In the American League West, the Oakland A's finished in first with a record of 101-60, winning percentage of .627. Second place, the Kansas City Royals, 85-76, 16 games out of first. Third place, the Chicago White Sox, 79-83. Fourth place, the California Angels, 76-86. Fifth place, the Minnesota Twins, 74-86. And in sixth and last place, the Milwaukee Brewers, 69-92. Winning percentage of .429, 32 games out of first. Tribe home attendance in 1971 was 591,361 for an average of 7,301 per game, down 130,000 from 1970. In 1971, the Tribe played a game that was the longest in the team's history up till that time, a 20-inning game. The first 16 innings played at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, and the last four innings in Robert F. Kennedy Stadium in Washington, D.C., and the Tribe lost that game 8-6. Hank Peters, a front office executive, won the Frank Gibbons Good Guy Award. In 1971, Satchel Paige was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. This was the first induction of a player based on the merits from their Negro League career into the Hall of Fame. The 1971 All-Star Game, the starting pitchers were Vida Blue for the American League and Doc Ellis for the National League. The first time there were two black starting pitchers in an All-Star Game. Oakland A's owner Charlie Finley proposed a 3-ball walk to increase scoring and speed up games, but it was not adopted. The San Francisco Giants' Willie Mays had a record 4 home runs in his first 4 games of the season. Henry Aaron, on April 27th, became the third MLB player to hit 600 home runs. He joined Babe Ruth and Willie Mays, who both had that achievement. The Philadelphia Phillies' Rick Wise threw a no-hitter on June 23rd against the Reds, and he hit a home run in the game. It's the only time a pitcher had a no-hitter and hit a home run in the same game in MLB history. The California Angels outfielder Alex Johnson was troubled. He was the defending American League batting champion. On June 26th, he was suspended for the rest of the season, but then was later declared mentally incapacitated by an arbitrator. Vida Blue was a rising star pitcher. Albert Jones, a Detroit soul singer, wrote a song about Vida Blue. Killebrew, Yastrzemski, and Gates Brown, too. They can't buy a hit off of Vida Blue. On August 10th, Harmon Killebrew became the 10th MLB player to hit 500 home runs, and Frank Robinson joined him as the 11th 1 month later. The Montreal Expos' Ron Hunt had an MLB record 50 hit by the pitch, and he said, quote, "Some people give their bodies to science. I gave mine to baseball." On September 1st, 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates had the first all-black lineup. Rennie Stennett at second, Gene Clines in center field, Roberto Clemente in right field, Willie Stargell in left field, Manny Sanguillen catcher, Dave Cash third base, Al Oliver first base, Jackie Hernandez shortstop, and Doc Ellis the starting pitcher. L.A. Dodgers Dick Allen complained that the Dodgers should have won the National League West, but, quote, the problem was all the Dodger blue jive. They put a lot of pressure on players to sign autographs and have their pictures taken. They want you to visit with celebrities in the clubhouse before games. Have a laugh with Don Rickles. Eat spaghetti with Frank Sinatra. It distracts from the team's mission to win ball games. Late in the season, it was announced that the Senators would be moving to the Dallas, Texas area, and at the last home game in the ninth inning, the fans rioted and stormed the field. They couldn't finish the game, so that was a forfeit loss for the Senators in their last game. This was the last MLB game in Washington, D.C. until 2008, when the Washington Nationals started play after being the Montreal Expos and moving to Washington. In May, MLB Commissioner Bowie Kuhn signed a $72 million contract on behalf of MLB with NBC Television to televise MLB games. AstroTurf fields were becoming popular in the 1970s because if it rained, they could be, and there was a lot of water, they could be vacuumed and still games could still be played. However, Dick Allen said, quote, "If horses don't eat it, I don't want to play on it." Players were complaining about the artificial surfaces, that it was too hot and it was hard, more injuries. The balls would bounce high. Better traction and led to easier for stolen bases, so stolen bases went up. Outfielder Gary Maddox got the nickname Secretary of the Defense by Mets, and Mets announcer Ralph Kiner said, quote, "2/3 of the earth is covered by water. The rest is covered by Gary Maddox." Chicago Cubs Ernie Banks, 1971 was his last year. He ended up with 512 career home runs. They called him Mr. Cub, and he was known for the expression, "let's play two," and had a very positive spirit. Top baseball salaries in 1971, Willie Mays and Carl Yastrzemski, $150,000, Bob Gibson, $135,000, Frank Robinson, $130,000, Henry Aaron, $125,000. I read a fine book. The title is The Team That Changed Baseball, Roberto Clemente and the 1971 Pittsburgh Pirates by Bruce Marcuson, 2006. The Pirates' GM was Joe Brown, the son of comedic actor Joe E. Brown, and he was known for his ability to evaluate players based on their ability alone, and their race was irrelevant, and there was no quota system on the Pirates, limiting the number of black players. Pirates manager Danny Murtaugh did a tremendous job, was highly respected, and pitcher Doc Ellis said, quote, "Danny Murtaugh's a beautiful dude. Beautiful. Winning. That's all he cares about. Nothing else. Screw up, you hear about it, black or white." Richie Hebner said, quote, "We all liked Danny Murtaugh. He was the kind of guy when you were around him for a week or two, you'd say, gee, this guy's like my dad. He's a nice, nice guy." Pirates veteran second baseman Bill Mazeroski worked with and encouraged the young second baseman Dave Cash, who took his job as Pirates second baseman. There were 18 Hall of Famers in the 1971 All-Star Game. For the National League, Henry Aaron, Johnny Bench, Lou Brock, Ferguson Jenkins, Juan Marichal, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Roberto Clemente, and Willie Stargell. In the American League, Louis Aparicio, Rod Carew, Reggie Jackson, Al Kaline, Harmon Killebrew, Jim Palmer, Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, and Carl Yastrzemski. Pirates pitcher Doc Ellis named his daughter Shangalisa Talawanga, which according to Doc Ellis, meant everything black is beautiful in the Swahili language. Now, after a tough game, Pirates pitcher Mudcat Grant was discouraged, and Roberto Clemente said to him, "You can pitch. You can still get people out. Forget this game. It is gone." 1971 was Jimmy Warfield's first year as Tribe trainer, and he was a Tribe trainer until 2002. Again, Vernon Stouffer was back as the Tribe owner. This was the last season he would be Tribe owner. Stouffer was Tribe owner from 1966 to 1972. He sold the team to Nick Maletti on March 22nd, 1972, before the 72 season, for $9.75 million. Stouffer died in 1974 at age 72, and he's buried in Lakewood Park Cemetery in Rocky River, Ohio. During the 71 season, Stouffer entertained overtures regarding the possibility that the Tribe could play 27 to 30 games in New Orleans, Louisiana, and for that, the team would receive as much as $1.2 million in income. And this would be starting with 1974 at the Superdome, but that did not happen. Late in 71, there was a deal to sell the Tribe, for Vernon Stouffer to sell the Tribe to George Steinbrenner, Al Rosen, Howard Metzenbaum, Ted Bonda, and others, but that fell through, and Steinbrenner was the principal person in that deal. Vernon Stouffer. Gabe Paul was back as general manager. Paul was head of the Tribe ownership group from 1963 to 1966. He was a Tribe GM from 1961 to 1972, and from 1978 to 1984. He resumed full GM duties on July 30th, 1971, and he got those back from Alvin Dark. Bob Dolgan wrote, quote, "Gabe Paul is a decent man who symbolizes all that is good and wholesome in baseball." Jenny Paul, Gabe Paul's daughter, regarding his return to Cleveland in 1978 after being with the Yankees for a number of years, she wrote, quote, "What do you do when everything you have wished and worked for actually happens? If you are Gabe Paul, the answer is easy. You do what you said you were going to do. You go back to your roots and fulfill a promise set aside during your climb to the top." Dad's longtime friend Steve O'Neill reminded him of the deal they had when they both abandoned their attempt to buy back the Cleveland Indians from Vernon Stouffer in 1972. Dad and Steve still had an affinity for the place that launched their dreams. Gabe Paul had said, quote, "Cleveland has been maligned so much and the people are so hungry for a winner." Jenny Paul continued, "When Dad went back to the Indians, he took with him knowledge of the history of the Indians and an understanding of how to change the future. Dad went after a winning formula, first by ensuring that there was sufficient investment in the things that built winning clubs: player development, effective trades, good management, controlling egos, and making friends with the media in Cleveland were the variables he combined in his strategy. Cleveland is a sleeping giant," Dad said. He would attempt to awaken the giant. From Dad's perspective, if you took care of the press and gave them what they needed, then they would write the stories that would entice people to come to the game. Box office results would generate the revenue to help the club financially. Gabe Paul was in a Ziggy comic strip, and Ziggy said in the comic strip, Ziggy said that every year his team, the team he rooted for, was finishing in last. And in the comic, Gabe Paul calls Ziggy on the telephone and asks him not to root for the Indians. Gabe Paul helped the Tribe to make the sale happen to Dick and David Jacobs, and he retired in 1984 at age 75. Gabe Paul's secretary, Barbara, said to Jenny Paul, quote, "When Gabe was here with the Indians, we lost many games. Gabe never stopped believing. He worked tirelessly to build the team up again and keep us in Cleveland, when that was not a very popular idea. Then in the 90s, everything changed. We moved into the new stadium in 1994, and in 1995, the Indians season erupted, and the fans suddenly had the same confidence in us that Gabe Paul had when he and Steve O'Neill were here. It was a magical time. It was almost as if we had to go through that much loss to get to the place where we could win. Gabe Paul always tried to do the right thing. The Indians are in Cleveland today because of Gabe Paul and Steve O'Neill." Gabe Paul. Herb Score was back as a Tribe radio broadcaster on WERE Radio. Score was a Tribe player from 1955 to 1959 and a Tribe TV and radio broadcaster from 1964 to 1997. And he's buried in Lakewood Park Cemetery in Rocky River, Ohio. Herb Score. His partner was Bob Neal on WERE Radio. Bob Neal was a Tribe TV and radio broadcaster from 1952 to 1953, and from 1957 to 1972. And he was a Cleveland Browns broadcaster from 1946 to 1951. Bob Neal. Harry Jones was back as a Tribe TV broadcaster on WJW-TV. Jones was a Cleveland Plain Dealer reporter from 1940 to 1947, a Cleveland Plain Dealer sports writer from 1947 to 1960, and a Tribe TV and radio broadcaster from 1961 to 1977. Harry Jones. His partner was Dave Martin on WJW-TV, and Martin was a Tribe TV broadcaster from 1969 to 1971. Dave Martin. Alvin Dark was back as Tribe manager. Dark was Tribe manager from 1968 to 1971. And so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued as an MLB manager until 1977 with the San Diego Padres and died in 2014 at age 92 in Easley, South Dakota. Dark was fired on July 29, 1971, and replaced by Johnny Lippon. The Tribe was 42-61 in 6th and last place, 22 games out of first. Alvin Dark said, quote, "I had retrieved Kenny Harrelson from the Red Sox in 1969 via trade, but the Hawks' flying days were all but over." Regarding being fired in 1971, Dark said, quote, "The firing was a relief all around. Gabe Paul's secretary called. Gabe got on the phone and said, 'Mr. Stouffer wants to see you.' I said, 'Should I wear black?' He said, 'I think so.' So he was fired by Vernon Stouffer, and Vernon Stouffer and Dark said, quote, 'Mr. Stouffer, thank you. It's your club. I'm sorry things didn't work out, but I appreciate your having me. God bless you.' So after that, he drove with his wife and children to Miami, Florida, to their home, and they went on an eating binge. During that trip, Dark said, quote, 'Jackie and I ate sandwiches like they were snacks at any hour. We went on eating binges, ice cream, junk food, desserts. We were the king and queen of desserts. I kept a spoon in the peanut butter jar. I could eat a full-course meal with dessert and then head right for that spoon. For the first time in my life, I worried about my career. I felt truly discarded. Nobody called. The phone never rang. I wallowed in bitterness. Then I came to realize that it was me who had been at fault. I know now that my son Rusty would not have had the problems he had later if I'd been more loving. I was a Christian and a father, but I was not a Christian father. There was no one else to blame. I had been on an ego trip all my life. As a Christian, I had been about as un-Christ-like as I could have been. When I came to that realization, the way back was clear. How and where did this miracle of awareness come about? A woman's Bible study group turned Alvin Dark around. Jackie and I read the Bible together. We were on a voyage of discovery, the most exciting of my life. The more we read, the more we wanted to read. And the more we studied, the more I realized what a mess I'd made of everything. I learned the necessity of tempering discipline with love when raising children. I learned the cancer that pride can be in a life. Jesus Christ loved me. He could mend a ripped-up, messed-up life and restore it to usefulness. Golf didn't seem as important as it had been. Jackie and I reconstructed our marriage. We began putting God first. We soon learned what He can do in that favored position, the insight He can give into personal relations. Jackie taught me a hug and a kiss didn't diminish anybody's manliness. I wrote letters to every man I thought I had offended with my actions. I wrote Gabe Paul. I wrote Hal Lebovitz and Russell Schneider, two of the Cleveland writers I had been at odds with. I wrote Mr. Stouffer. I believe God opens and closes doors for those who stay in touch with Him. I believe He has a purpose for your life, and if you listen and wait for His time, things will open up, things that are right for you. Dark was hired to be the Oakland A's manager in 1974, and at the press conference, at the time, he quoted Deuteronomy from the Bible, quote, "Be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God will not fail thee, nor forsake thee." So he had this, and he had a number of encounters with Charlie Finley, and including this one time, the A's owner. And during this episode, Finley said, quote, I don't blame the players for not respecting you. If you don't get off your fat ass, you're through. Why don't you say something?" And Alvin Dark responded, quote, "Charlie, I have nothing to say. Just sit down and relax. You're going to get sick." And Finley said, quote, "You're killing me with kindness. How about going out for a sandwich?" The A's catcher, first baseman Gene Tennis one day said, quote, "How do you stand it, Alvin? How can you take all that abuse?" And Dark quoted from the book of Psalms in the Bible, quote, "Great peace have they, and nothing shall offend them." Alvin Dark said, quote, "Ray Fosse was our best catcher with the Oakland A's, an excellent receiver, whom I went with whenever he was not hurting." There was A's where it lost a particular game, and Sal Bando after the game said, quote, "Alvin Dark couldn't manage a meat market," but later he apologized to Dark. Charlie Finley one day said, quote, "Who needs a manager? A manager's just somebody to blame if anything goes wrong." Alvin Dark said, quote, "Charlie Finley was cum laude in the art, a giant among second-guessers." After winning the 1974 World Series as manager, Alvin Dark said, quote, "A fellow has to have faith in God and rally fingers in the bullpen." There was the victory celebration in Oakland, and Alvin Dark said to the crowd, quote, "Thanks to Mr. Finley for the chance to manage the team, and to God be the glory." One day, Dark was joking with reporters. They asked him, What's your Hall of Fame lineup?" And Dark responded, quote, "Moses leading off, then Isaac, then Abraham, and David cleanup." And then Dark said, quote, "The Oakland A's of 1972 to 1975, perhaps the greatest baseball team of all time, were years in the building. Charlie Finley was the man most responsible for their creation. Almost overnight, he undid what he had done. The dismantling of the team was swift and sure. A snap of fingers, and that great team was history. Some people make no bones about it. They aren't interested in Alvin Dark talking about religion, what his faith means to him, the strength he gets from it, the meaning it gives to his life. Accepting the Christian life will make you a better man, and a lot more sure of what life is all about. Alvin Dark." Johnny Lippon was a Tribe coach and interim manager at the end of the season. Lippon was a Tribe coach from 1968 to 1971, and he was a Tribe manager for the last 59 games of the season, had a record of 18-41. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. He was a manager in the minors until 1992 with the Lakeland Tigers, and died in 1998 in Houston, Texas at age 75. Johnny Lippon. Cot Deal was back as a Tribe coach. Deal was a Tribe coach from 1970 to 1971, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued as a manager in the minors until 1982 with the Oklahoma City 89ers. Cot Deal. Kirby Farrell was back as a Tribe coach. Farrell was a Tribe coach from 1970 to 1971, and a Tribe manager back in 1957. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. He died in 1975 in Nashville, Tennessee at age 62. Kirby Farrell. Bobby Hoffman was a new coach. Hoffman was a Tribe coach from 1971 to 1972. Hoffman was born in 1925 in St. Louis, Missouri, and died in 1994 in Chesterfield, Missouri at age 68. During his playing career, he was an infielder and a catcher. He batted .248 with 32 RBIs and 166 hits. He played for the New York Giants from 1949 to 1957. He was a coach for the Kansas City Athletics, Washington Senators, the Oakland A's, and Cleveland Indians from 1966 to 1978. He won a World Series title with the '54 New York Giants. He was in the U.S. Army in the Second World War in the European theater. He was a manager in the minors from '58 to '65 for the San Francisco Giants and Kansas City A's. He won a World Series title in '74 with the Oakland A's as a coach. In the 1980s, he was director of scouting and player development for the Yankees. As a manager in the minors, he had a record of .574 and .599, a winning percentage of .489. He died of cancer. In the minors, he played for the Minneapolis Millers, Oakland Oaks, and Sioux City Sioux. Bobby Hoffman. Now the Tribe lineup, Ray Fosse was the regular catcher. Fosse batted .276 with 134 hits. He scored 53 runs, 21 doubles, a triple, 12 home runs, 62 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 36 walks in 133 games. And Fosse was with Cleveland from 1967 to 1972, and from 1976 to 1977. He won a Gold Glove in 1971, and he played on the 1971 American League All-Star team. Also in 71, he won the Gordon Cobbledick Golden Tomahawk Award. Ray Fosse. Chris Chambliss was at first base. Chambliss batted .275 with 114 hits, 20 doubles, 4 triples, 9 home runs, 48 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 40 walks, 83 strikeouts in 111 games. Chambliss was born in 1948 in Dayton, Ohio, and he's 70 years old in 2019. During his playing career, he batted .279 with 185 home runs and 972 RBIs. Chambliss played for the Cleveland Indians, New York Yankees, and Atlanta Braves from 1971 to 1988. He was the coach for the Yankees, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Mets, Reds, and Seattle Mariners from 88 to 2012. Chambliss was an All-Star in 76. He won 6 World Series titles in 77 and 78 with the Yankees as a player, and in 96 and from 98 to 2000 with the Yankees as a coach. He's American League Rookie of the Year in 71. He won a Gold Glove in 78. He won an American League title in 76 with the Yankees. He hit the walk-off home run in the 76 ALCS to put the Yankees in the World Series. His father was a chaplain in the U.S. Navy. He went to the University of California and played on the Bruins baseball team, UCLA. Chambliss had a collegiate summer and playing for the Anchorage Glacier Pilots in the Alaska Baseball League, and won a title as an MVP. He was the first overall pick in the 1970 MLB draft. Great clutch hitter throughout his career. Chambliss said, quote, "If you're not having fun in baseball, you're missing the point. You're missing the point." In the decisive Game 5 of the 76 ALCS, in the bottom of the ninth, the first pitch from Royals pitcher Mark Littell. Chambliss hit for a home run and gave the Yankees their first pennant since 1964. The fans mobbed the field. There was a fan holding second base by the time Chambliss got there, so he touched it. He never touched third or home. Later, he came back. He was scared for his life. Later, he came back when the field was cleared. He came back, but home plate was gone, so he touched the area near home plate. In '89, he was a manager for the London Tigers in the minors, won a title, and was Minor League Manager of the Year. For many years, Chambliss was a strong candidate to become an MLB manager, but it never happened. His cousin was NBA star JoJo White. His son Russell was the hitting coach in the minors for the Peoria Chiefs. Chris Chambliss. Eddie Leon was at second base. Leon batted .261 with 112 hits. He scored 35 runs, 12 doubles, 2 triples, 4 home runs, 35 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 34 walks in 131 games. And Leon was with Cleveland from 1968 to 1972. Eddie Leon. Jack Heidemann was at shortstop. Heidemann batted .208 with 50 hits. He scored 16 runs, 7 doubles, 9 RBIs, a stolen base, 12 walks in 81 games. And Heidemann was with Cleveland from 1969 to 1972 and in 1974. Jack Heidemann. Greg Nettles was at third base. Nettles batted .261 with 156 hits. He scored 78 runs, 18 doubles, a triple, 28 home runs, 86 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, 82 walks in 158 games. And Nettles was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1972. And he was the 1971 Tribe Man of the Year. Greg Nettles. Ted Uhlaender was in left field. Uhlaender batted .288 with 144 hits. He scored 52 runs, 20 doubles, 3 triples, 2 home runs, 47 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 38 walks in 141 games. And Uhlaender was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1971. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1972. Ted Uhlaender. Vada Pinson was in center field. Pinson batted .263 with 149 hits. He scored 60 runs, 23 doubles, 4 triples, 11 home runs, 35 RBIs, 25 stolen bases, 21 walks in 146 games. Pinson was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1971. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1975. Vada Pinson. Roy Foster was in right field. Foster batted .245 with 97 hits. He scored 51 runs, 21 doubles, a triple, 18 home runs, 45 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, 35 walks in 125 games. And Foster was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1972. This was the end, 1972. Roy Foster. Now, the bench players included Ted Ford, who played some outfield. Ford batted .194 with 38 hits. He scored 15 runs, 6 doubles, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 9 walks in 74 games. And Ford was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1971. And in 1973, Ted Ford. Frank Baker played some right field. Baker batted .210 with 38 hits. He scored 18 runs, 12 doubles, a triple, a home run, 23 RBIs, a stolen base, 12 walks in 73 games. And Baker was with Cleveland in 1969 and at 1971. And this was the end of his MLB career. Frank Baker. Ken Hawk Harrelson played some first base. Harrelson batted .199 with 32 hits. He scored 20 runs, 2 doubles, 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, a stolen base, 24 walks in 52 games. Harrelson was with Cleveland from 1969 to 1971. This was the end of his MLB playing career. Harrelson wanted to retire and did not want to play in 1971. However, he met with Alvin Dark, who said, quote, "Look, Kenneth, we just lost Tony Horton. We can't lose both of you. Give me one more year." Harrelson said, quote, "I loved Alvin and I felt loyalty to him. He had done so much for me over the years." So Harrelson agreed to play in the 1971 season. Harrelson said, quote, "The first few months of 1971 were pure drudgery for me." So he decided to retire in the middle of the 71 season. His last game was June 20th, a Tribe Tigers game at the stadium. He wanted to play professional golf. Harrelson said, quote, "I was leaving the Indians. I was leaving baseball." So he was a pro golfer for several years. In 1975, he became a Red Sox broadcaster. He actually was offered the Tribe manager job in 78, but turned it down. By 82, he was a Chicago White Sox announcer, and his partner was Don Drysdale. By 86, he was a White Sox GM. He hired Alvin Dark as director of player development and Duke Sims as a manager in the minors. By 87, he was a Yankees broadcaster, and his broadcast partner was Mickey Mantle and Bobby Mercer. Harrelson said, quote, "I could have listened to Mickey Mantle talk about the old days forever." By 1990, he was back with the White Sox as broadcaster again, and Harrelson said, quote, "If I worked for a club, got to know the players, owners, managers, and coaches, then it was natural for me to pull for them." In 2005, the White Sox won the World Series, and at the parade, Harrelson was the master of ceremonies. Harrelson said, quote, "Umpires are just regular people. They are very, very good at a job that is very, very difficult. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to Ernie Harwell and Vin Scully, along with Tom Hamilton in Cleveland, my former teammate Ray Fosse, who has called A's games for years, and my good buddy Bob Uecker, the legend of Milwaukee. It was true that I wanted the teams I worked for to win. I could never stand laziness. There is no excuse for not running hard on ground balls or pop-ups. To say clubhouse fare," he's talking about food, "to say clubhouse fare has come a long way from my days would be like saying air travel has progressed since Orville Wright. If I was driving through Cleveland today, I would want to buy a ticket to see Francisco Lindor play. The future of baseball is in good hands. For the average fan, watching baseball on television still may not surpass the experience of seeing the green grass of the outfield up close, smelling the aroma of ballpark hot dogs, or hearing the crack of the bat. The sights, smells, and sounds of baseball will always remain the same, and they will never grow old to me. The final curtain is coming for this guy. My ability to speak my mind symbolizes what makes this country the best on the planet. Thank God for the First Amendment. I've always considered myself very patriotic and always cared deeply about our country. The nightly performance of our national anthem and the presence of the flag is worth standing for, in my opinion. The broadcast booth became my second home. I felt alive in there, being able to communicate to baseball fans about this great American game. Rocky Colavito had taught Harrelson the importance of signing autographs for fans, and Harrelson said, quote, "Wherever he is, Rocky would be happy to know that I never forgot the lesson he taught me. If there is such a thing as reincarnation, I always joked that I wanted to come back as either Neil Diamond, a hockey player, or an eye drop salesman. I mean, who doesn't sing along to Sweet Caroline? I will always appreciate the unique experience baseball provided me. Not bad for a so-called mama's boy with a crooked nose from Woodruff, South Carolina." Now, regarding Ed Farmer, he said, quote, "I love him like a little brother and one of the toughest guys I ever played with. Alvin Dark, what a baseball mind. Ken Harrelson." Chuck Hinton was a utility player. Hinton batted .224 with 33 hits. He scored 13 runs, 7 doubles, 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, 20 walks in 88 games. Hinton was with Cleveland from 1965 to 1967, and from 1969 to 1971. This was the end of his MLB career. Regarding the hardships he experienced in the minor leagues, Hinton said, quote, "When your goal is to reach the show, you take a licking and keep on ticking. I made the best of what I had to do. That's pretty much how I live my life, doing the best I can with what I've got. I had so many thrills on and off the baseball field. The Grand Canyon is breathtaking. Only God could create it. The beauty, the details. I will always seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and then other things will be added to me. People are people. In any walk of life, I have found that what you give is what you get back, regardless of color. Prove yourself to be true. Show a smile first. Speak down to no one. Go out of your way to help others. Don't give excuses. And be willing to do what you can. Then you can expect a little help from your fellow man." It came time for my baseball career to end. I opened my mail one day in January to find a pink slip. That meant the organization opted not to renew my contract. Any athlete will tell you he won't last forever. There was life after Major League Baseball. Hinton became the baseball coach at Howard University. Regarding his former players that he coached, he said, quote, "When I see them every now and then, my heart is glad and proud. So many of them call me Dad. I believe it's because I tried to teach them about more than baseball. That a man should work, take care of his family, help others, be conscientious, and accept and trust the Lord Jesus Christ, and allow Him to lead you in all your ways. I visit Cleveland each year. That's because the Baseball Alumni Association puts on a clinic at Jacobs Field there. It's a beautiful facility. Well, we all have lunch at the Wahoo Club and hold a golf tournament. It is so much fun to see former teammates and fans during the 3-day event. I look forward to it each year." Hinton retired in 1999. He wrote, quote, "God is good, and He promised long life to those who honor their parents. God has been very good to me. Being thankful is a way of life I enjoy. My church has been a source of great happiness in my life. I am also a leader in the prison ministry. In life, just as there are mountaintops you reach, there are valleys you must walk through. One of our battles as a family was with our daughter, John Quill's health. She fought valiantly, but in the end her heart stopped. What a home going she had, for to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So in early 2002 she went to be with Him. She doesn't have to struggle or suffer any longer, and that gives me a sense of relief. Joni was a giver, and most of the time it was her love she gave. I won't forget what a great person she was. You fought a good fight. You kept the faith. Well done, you good and faithful servant." Once you have been in the major leagues for 9 years, the Baseball Commissioner's Office sends you a lifetime pass. It's a beautiful cold gold plate, about the size of a credit card, with your name engraved on it. The pass comes in a nice leather wallet and will permit you and one guest to attend regular season games in both leagues. What a prized possession. There is no place in baseball for a fan to call a player names. You won't believe some of the conversations that go on at first base. As a fielder, you have to stay focused every pitch, expecting the ball to be hit to you. When at bat, keep your mind clear and your body relaxed, ready to do war when you get a pitch to hit. The pitcher is trying his best to get you out. You have to be ready to win the battle each at bat. I loved being a major league player. It was a dream come true. It was not all peaches and cream, but every game was special. Being a complete baseball player is a wonderful thing, but being a complete human being is even better. In everyday life, do what you can to make things better and respect others. Make it your business to smile, speak, and listen to others. Before you leave home, put on your smile and keep it on. Make everyone feel special. It will make you feel so much better. Life is about loving, sharing, caring, and helping. And when you do these things, you will be filled with joy. After all, people need people. To be happy, you should make others happy first. Be ready when your opportunity knocks. You are the right person in the right spot. You can do it. Drive in the winning run. We are all pulling for you. Make us proud and happy. Congratulations and thank you for doing your part. I know you will do it. Seize the moment. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. Be strong and courageous and always believe in yourself. And thank God. It is not hard to treat people as you want to be treated. God loves you and so do I. Hinton likes to quote Corinthians 2:9 from the Bible, quote, "What no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love Him." Chuck Hinton. Fred Stanley played some shortstop. Stanley batted .225 with 29 hits. He scored 14 runs, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 12 RBIs, a stolen base, 27 walks in 60 games. Fred Stanley was born in 1947 in Farnhamville, Iowa, and he's age 72 in 2019. During his playing career, he batted .216 with 10 home runs and 120 RBIs. Stanley played for the Seattle Pilots, Milwaukee Brewers, Cleveland Indians, San Diego Padres, New York Yankees, and Oakland A's from 1969 to 1982. He won 2 World Series titles in 1977 and 78 with the Yankees. He's currently the San Francisco Giants Director of Player Development. He was a backup to Bucky Dent as shortstop on the Yankee World Series titles years in 77 and 78, and a favorite of Phil Rizzuto, the broadcaster during that era. Since 1960, no other non-pitcher has had as many seasons, 9, with at least 30 at-bats, with 5 or fewer extra base hits. In 2001, he was manager for the Salem Kaiser Volcanoes in the minors, won a title. Stanley was the last active player in MLB who played for the Seattle Pilots. He also played for the St. Lucie Legends in the Senior Professional Baseball Association. In the minors, he played for the Oklahoma City 89ers and the Portland Beavers. Fred Stanley. John Lowenstein played some second base. Lowenstein batted .186 with 26 hits. He scored 15 runs, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, a stolen base, 16 walks in 58 games, and Lowenstein was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1977. John Lowenstein. Ken Suarez was a spare catcher. Suarez batted .203 with 25 hits. He scored 10 runs, 7 doubles, a home run, 9 RBIs, 18 walks in 50 games. And Suarez was with Cleveland from 1968 to 1969 and in 1971. And this was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1973. Ken Suarez. Kurt Bevacqua played some second base. Bevacqua batted .204 with 28 hits. He scored 9 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, 4 walks in 55 games. Bevacqua was born in 1947 in Miami Beach, Florida, and he's 72 years old in 2019. During his playing career, he batted .236 with 27 home runs and 275 RBIs. Bevacqua played for the Cleveland Indians, Kansas City Royals, Pittsburgh Pirates, Milwaukee Brewers, Texas Rangers, and San Diego Padres from 1971 to 1985. He won a National League title in '84 with the Padres. In the '84 World Series, he hit .412 with 2 home runs. In Puerto Rico, he played for the Mayagüez Indians from '77 to '81. For the '71 Tribe, he played second base, third base, shortstop, left field, and right field. They called him Dirty Kurt because he would get his uniform dirty. He won in 1975 for the Joe Garagiola Bazooka Bubblegum Blowing Championship. He won that. He defeated catcher Johnny Oates in the finals. Game 2 of the '84 World Series, Bevacqua hit a 3-run home run to help the Padres win that game 5-3, the only Padres World Series win to date. He has enduring celebrity status in San Diego as a result, which he has used to benefit the St. Madeleine Sophie Center, the Hot with Heart charity and benefit programs, which benefits programs for adults with developmental disabilities. He's been featured in the Fox TV show King of the Hill in an episode where the Strickland's propane softball team is playing. In the minors, he played for the Portland Beavers, Tampa Tarpons, Tucson Toros, Wichita Arrows. He went to Miami-Dade College and played on the Sharks baseball team. In Venezuela, he played for the Leones de Caracas, Navegantes del Magallanes, and Tigres de Aragua. Russell Schneider wrote, quote, "According to Kurt Bevacqua, bench jockeying is or was an art form in which outrageous insults are aimed at opposing players for the purpose of disrupting their concentration, especially when they're batting in clutch situations." Bevacqua said, quote, "But now it's a lost art because everybody is buddy-buddy. I was good as a bench jockey. What the heck? I should have been good. I spent 8 years of my career on the bench. I should have been good." There's a book of lists where Bevacqua is rated 4th best bench jockey of all time after Billy Martin, Earl Weaver, and Bill Rigney. And others on the list include Leo DeRocher, Eddie Stanky, John McGraw, and Dizzy Dean. Bevacqua said, quote, "Being a pinch hitter is one of the toughest jobs in baseball, but I loved it, and I was proud of my ability as a pinch hitter. I approached it this way. The pitcher was facing the best pinch hitter in the game. I really believed in myself." Kurt Bevacqua. Gomer Hodge plays some infield. Hodge batted .205 with 17 hits. He scored 3 runs, 3 doubles, a home run, 9 RBIs, 4 walks in 80 games. Hodge was born in 1944 in Rutherfordton, North Carolina, and died in 2007 in Saluda, North Carolina, at age 63. His MLB career was just with the Cleveland Indians in '71. He had 8 years in the minors before '71. For the Tribe in '71, he had 4 hits in his first 4 at-bats, and he claimed that he was batting .400 and became a fan favorite. He was also a coach in the minors for the Tribe. He was a coach he was a manager for the coach and manager for the Milwaukee Brewers. He was a coach for the Milwaukee Brewers, Montreal Expos, Boston Red Sox organizations until his death in 2007. His mother worked in a garment factory and his father in a textile mill and ran the family farm. He got the nickname Gomer because he resembled Jim Neighbors, who played the character Gomer Heil on the Andy Griffith Show. His given name was Harold. Roy Hathaway, his manager in the minors, said, quote, "Hodge has more hustle, desire, determination, and fan appeal than any player in our organization. On opening day, he had the game-winning RBI single in the bottom of the 9th. And after going 4 for 4 to start the season, Hodge said, quote, "Golly, fellas, I'm hitting 4,000. Hodge died of Lou Gehrig's disease. In the minors, he played for the San Jose Bees, Oklahoma City 89ers. He was a manager for the Waterloo Indians and was the 81 Manager of the Year in the Midwest League. He was a manager. He convinced the Expos to sign Vladimir Guerrero. In '71, Hodge had 16 pinch hits, most in MLB in '71. Hodge said, quote, "I asked the good Lord for help every time I went to the plate, and he helped me." Regarding his nickname Gomer, Hodge said, quote, "Some of my northern buddies thought I sounded like that guy on television, Gomer Pyle." Russell Schneider wrote, quote, "Gomer Hodge is still a fan favorite of Tribe fans of that era. Primarily because he was such a charismatic, pleasant, unpretentious, and extremely likable character. He coached teams in Australia and Mexico." Hodge said, quote, "My biggest thrill was when Alvin Dark called me into his office during spring training on April 3rd, 1971. I remember the date because that was my 27th birthday, and I was afraid he was going to tell me I was going back to the minors. Instead, he told me I made the team. It was the best birthday present I ever got. When people ask me how many home runs I hit in the big leagues and I say 1, they laugh. But then I tell them, I bet you wish you'd been able to hit 1, and they don't laugh anymore. I still have a fan club in Cleveland. It's not too big anymore, but I still get letters from fans who want my autograph. I always sign Gomer for them, but I'm Harold to everybody down here. Gomer Hodge. Lou Camilli was a middle infielder. Camilli batted .198 with 16 hits. He scored 5 runs, 2 doubles, 8 walks in 39 games. And Camilli was with Cleveland from 1969 to 1972. Lou Camilli. Larry Brown played some shortstop. Brown batted .220 with 11 hits. He scored 4 runs. He had a double, 5 RBIs, 3 walks in 13 games. Brown was with Cleveland from 1963 to 1971. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1974. Larry Brown. Buddy Bradford played some center field. Bradford batted .158 with 6 hits. He scored 4 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 3 RBIs, 6 walks in 20 games. Bradford was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1971. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1977. Buddy Bradford. Jim Clark was a utility player. Clark batted .167 with 3 hits and 18 at-bats. He scored 2 runs, had a triple, 2 walks in 13 games. Clark was born in 1947 in Kansas City, Kansas, and he died in 2019 in Mira Loma, California at age 71. His MLB career was just with the Cleveland Indians in 71. He was with the Tribe from July 16th to August 3rd, 1971. The minors, he played for the Burlington Bees, Peninsula Grays, and Wichita Arrows. Jim Clark. Now the pitching staff, Sam McDowell was the ace pitcher. McDowell was 13-17 with an ERA of 3.40, 35 games, 31 starts, 8 complete games, 2 shutouts, a save, 214 2/3 innings pitched, and 192 strikeouts. McDowell batted .178 with 13 hits. He scored a run, had 4 RBIs, a walk, and struck out 26 times. McDowell was with Cleveland from 1961 to 1971. In the offseason, he was traded to the San Francisco Giants in a trade that brought Gaylord Perry to the Indians. So this was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1975, and he played on the 1971 American League All-Star team. Sudden Sam McDowell. Steve Dunning was 8-14 with an ERA of 4.50, 31 games, 29 starts, 3 complete games, a shutout, a save, 184 innings pitched, and 132 strikeouts. Dunning batted .182 with 10 hits. He scored 5 runs, had a double, a home run, 7 RBIs, 4 walks, and struck out 19 times. Dunning was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1973. And on opening day in 71, he threw a one-hitter against the Washington Senators. Steve Dunning. Alan Foster was 8-12 with an ERA of 4.16. 36 games, 26 starts, 3 complete games, 181 2/3 innings pitched, and 97 strikeouts. Foster batted .039 with 2 hits and 51 at-bats. He scored 2 runs, had a double, 3 RBIs, a walk, and struck out 18 times. Foster was born in 1946 in Pasadena, California, and he's 72 years old in 2019. For his career, he was 48-63 with an ERA of 3.74 and 501 strikeouts. Foster pitched for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Cleveland Indians, California Angels, St. Louis Cardinals, and San Diego Padres from 1967 to 1976. In '69, Foster surrendered a home run to Willie Stargell at Dodger Stadium. This was the first home run hit completely out of the stadium, 507 feet. Alan Foster. Mike Paul was 2-7 with an ERA of 5.95, 17 games, 12 starts, a complete game, 62 innings pitched, and 33 strikeouts. Paul batted .053 with 1 hit in 19 at-bats. He scored a run, walked twice, and struck out 5 times, and Paul was with Cleveland from 1968 to 1971. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1974. Mike Paul. Rich Hand was 2-6 with an ERA of 5.79, 15 games, 12 starts, 60 2/3 innings pitched, and 26 strikeouts. Hand batted .125 with 2 hits and 16 at-bats. He scored a run, had a walk, and struck out 7 times. Hand was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1971. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1973. Rich Hand. Phil Hennigan was the closer. Hennigan was 4-3 with an ERA of 4.94, 57 games, 14 saves, 82 innings pitched, and 69 strikeouts. He batted 6 times, did not have a hit. He had an RBI, walked twice, and struck out 3 times. And Hennigan was with Cleveland from 1969 to 1972. Phil Hennigan. Ray Lamb was a starter reliever. Lamb was 6-12 with an ERA of 3.35, 43 games, 21 starts, 3 complete games, a shutout, a save, 158 and a third innings pitched, and 91 strikeouts. Lamb batted .093 with 4 hits and 43 at-bats. He scored 3 runs, had 2 walks, and struck out 20 times. Lamb was born in 1944 in Glendale, California, and he's 74 years old in 2019. For his career, he was 20-23 with an ERA of 3.54 and 258 strikeouts. Lamb pitched for the LA Dodgers and Cleveland Indians from 1969 to 1973. After he retired, he became a highly regarded commercial sculptor of military and fantasy miniature figurines. Lamb went to the University of Southern California and played on the Trojans baseball team. For the 69 Dodgers, he wore number 42. It was his number from college, also Jackie Robinson's number. No Dodger had worn 42 since Robinson retired in 57. Later it was retired, and so he wore 34 for the Dodgers, which later was worn by Fernando Valenzuela and also retired. He was the last Dodger to wear 42 and the only Dodger to wear 2 numbers, which both were retired. As I said, he was a sculptor of miniature lead military figures. In 1973, he won the British Model Soldier Society prize for his sculpture of a cavalry officer. He had a 150-millimeter sculpture of Taisho Samurai, which was on the 1973 cover of Military Modeling magazine. There was a quote, "It caused a revolution in the figurine art world." And other quotes about him, one of the world's greatest miniature sculptors. Reviewers also wrote, quote, "Excellent detail, amazingly lifelike, high quality, expertly inscribed, a great degree of deeply etched detail, excellent pieces, truly gorgeous." Ray Lamb. Vince Kolbert was 7-6 with an ERA of 3.97, 50 games, 10 starts, 2 complete games, 2 saves, 142 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 74 strikeouts. Kolbert batted .138 with 4 hits and 29 at-bats. He scored 3 runs, had a double, walked twice, and struck out 11 times. And Kolbert was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1972. Vince Kolbert. Ed Farmer was 5-4 with an ERA of 4.35, 43 games, 4 starts, 4 saves, 78 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 48 strikeouts. He batted .071 with 1 hit and 14 at-bats. He had a walk and struck out 6 times. Farmer was born in 1949 in Evergreen Park, Illinois, and he's 69 years old in 2019. During his playing career, he was 30-43 with an ERA of 4.35, 395 strikeouts, and 75 saves. Farmer pitched with the Cleveland Indians, Detroit Tigers, Philadelphia Phillies, Baltimore Orioles, Milwaukee Brewers, Texas Rangers, Chicago White Sox, and Oakland Athletics from 1971 to 1983. He was an All-Star in 1980 with the White Sox. He's currently a broadcaster for Chi Sox Radio. His best seasons were 79 and 81. 1980 was his best year. He had 30 saves. He was also an Orioles scout. He's been a White Sox broadcaster from 1991 to the present. They call him Farmio. In the minors, he played for the Hawaii Islanders, Portland Beavers, Wichita Arrows, and Toledo Mud Hens, and in Venezuela for Tigres de Aragua. Farmer reportedly had the ability to eat 3 large steaks in one dinner, and also it was said that he ate 32 hamburgers in one sitting. They called him Eat It Up Ed. Ed Farmer. Steve Mengori was 1-2. With an ERA of 1.43, 54 games, 4 saves, 56 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 45 strikeouts. He batted .500 with 1 hit and 2 at-bats and struck out once. Mengori was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1973, and the Sporting News voted him the best left-handed reliever in baseball in 1971. Steve Mengori. Steve Harrigan was 1-13 with an ERA of 6.19, 37 games, 16 starts, a complete game, a save, 113 and a third innings pitched, and 52 strikeouts. Harrigan batted .063 with 2 hits and 32 at-bats and struck out 13 times. Hargan was with Cleveland from 1965 to 1972. Steve Hargan. Mark Ballinger was 1-2 with an ERA of 4.67, 18 games, 34 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 25 strikeouts. He batted .200, 1 hit, and 5 at-bats. He scored a run and struck out twice. Ballinger was born in 1949 in Glendale, California, and died in 2014 in Okeechobee, Florida, at age 65. His MLB career was just in 71 with the Tribe. He was 6'6". He played in the minors for 12 seasons, 260 games with a record of 54-61. In the minors, he pitched for the Elmira Pioneers, the El Paso Sun Kings, Eugene Emeralds, and Jacksonville Suns. Mark Ballinger. Camilo Pascual was 2-2 with an ERA of 3.09, 9 games, 1 start, 23 and 1/3 innings pitched, and 20 strikeouts. Pascual batted .600 with 3 hits and 5 at-bats. He had a double and struck out once. Pascual was born in 1934 in Havana, Cuba, and he's 85 years old in 2019. For his career, he was 174 and 170 with an ERA of 3.63 and 2,167 strikeouts. Pascual pitched for the Washington Senators, Minnesota Twins, Cincinnati Reds, LA Dodgers, and Cleveland Indians from 1954 to 1971, so this was the end of his MLB career. He was a 7-time All-Star in 59 when they had 2 games, and in 60 and 61, and 62 and 64. 3-time American League strikeout leader from 61 to 63. He's in the Minnesota Twins Hall of Fame. He's also in the Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame, inducted in 2014. They called him Little Potato. In 65, he won an American League title with the Twins. He was a Twins pitching coach from 76 to 80. And since 89, he's been an international scout for the Oakland A's, New York Mets, and LA Dodgers. He signed Jose Canseco, Alex Cora, Miguel Cairo, and Franklin Gutierrez. He's also in the Caribbean Baseball Hall of Fame and in the Latino Baseball Hall of Fame. In the minors, he played for the Havana Cubans and Tampa Smokers. In Cuba, he played for the Elefantes de Cienfuegos and Tigres de Marianao. In Venezuela, for the Leones de Caracas, Tiburones de La Guaira, and Tigres de Aragua. Camilo Pascual. Rick Austin had no decisions and an ERA of 5.09, 23 games, 1 save, 23 innings pitched, and 20 strikeouts. He batted once and struck out. Austin was with Cleveland from 1970 to 1971. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. His MLB career continued until 1976. Rick Austin. Chuck Machamel was 0-2 with an ERA of 6.38. 14 games, 3 saves, 18 and 1/3 innings pitched, and 9 strikeouts. Machamel batted .500 with 1 hit and 2 at-bats, and he struck out once. Machamel was born in 1946 in Brenham, Texas, and he's 73 years old in 2019. His MLB career was just with Cleveland in 71. He went to Texas Christian University and played on the Horned Frogs baseball team. The minors, he played for the Denver Bears, Reno Silver Sox, and Wichita Arrows. Chuck Machamel. And finally, Bob Kaiser had no decisions and an ERA of 4.50. 5 games, 6 innings pitched, and 4 strikeouts. He did not bat. Kaiser was born in 1950 in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he's 69 years old in 2019. His MLB career was just with Cleveland in 71. He made his MLB debut against the Red Sox. The first batter was Dwayne Josephson, who hit a home run, but he ended the inning by striking out Carl Yastrzemski. The minors, he played for the Reno Silver Sox, Montgomery Rebels, Elmira Pioneers, and Clinton Pilots. Bob Kaiser. After the regular season, in the postseason, the 1971 American League Championship Series, or ALCS, the Baltimore Orioles, American League East champions, defeated the Oakland A's, National League West champions, 3 games to nothing. Orioles pitchers Dave McNally, Mike Cuellar, and Jim Palmer defeated the A's pitchers Vida Blue, Catfish Hunter, and Diego Segui. A's owner Charlie Finley fired announcer Harry Carey, who refused to change his famous expression, "holy cow," to "holy mule," to reference the A's mascot mule, Charlie O. In the offseason, before the season, the A's Reggie Jackson played winter baseball for the Santurce Crabbers in Puerto Rico, and his manager was Frank Robinson. Robinson helped Jackson and provided a lot of encouragement. Jackson biographer Dane Perry wrote, quote, Reggie Jackson left Puerto Rico promising to emulate Frank Robinson's quiet, steady strength on the field. A's owner Charlie Finley pressured A's pitcher Vida Blue to change his name to True Blue, but Vida Blue refused. So Vida Blue had 17 wins at the All-Star break. Game 3 of the ALCS, Reggie Jackson had 2 home runs, but the Orioles won 5-3. Jim Palmer struck out the side in the ninth, and for the end the ALCS, and Reggie Jackson cried for a half an hour in the dugout afterward. And in the NLCS, the National League Championship Series in '71, the Pittsburgh Pirates, National League East champions, defeated the San Francisco Giants, National League West champions, 3-1. This was the first league championship series that was not a sweep. Game 2, Pirates' Bob Robertson had 3 home runs in the victory. Game 1 was at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. And the Giants won 5-4 with Gaylord Perry, the starting and winning pitcher. And the Giants' Willie Mays set a National League record in '71. He scored his 1,950 runs scored. Home plate, this is during the regular season, home plate was dug up and given to Mays. Giants stars Willie Mays and Willie McCovey, but their best offensive player was Bobby Bonds, who hit .288 with 33 home runs and 102 RBIs and was the fastest runner in the National League. The Pirates' Willie Stargell batted .295 with 48 home runs and 125 RBIs. Doc Ellis was 19-9 for the Pirates. Dave Justy had 30 saves. Game 1 of the NLCS, they said it was Gaylord Perry against Steve Blass. Tito Fuentes and Willie McCovey hit home runs, and Gaylord Perry won that game. Game 2, the Pirates won 9-4. Frank Duffy played for the Giants. Doc Ellis was the winning pitcher. Game 3 was at Pittsburgh Three Rivers Stadium. Juan Marichal against Bob Johnson. Richie Hebner hit a home run, and Dave Justy got the save as the Pirates won that game 2-1. Game 4, it was Gaylord Perry against Steve Blass, and Willie McCovey had a 3-run home run. Also, Richie Hebner had a 3-run home run. But Bruce Keeson had 4 2/3 innings pitched of spotless relief, and Al Oliver had a 3-run home run. Dave Justy the save. The Pirates won that game 9-5 to clinch the ALCS and move on to the World Series. The 1971 World Series, the Pittsburgh Pirates, National League champions, defeated the Baltimore Orioles, American League champions, 4-3. The MVP was Roberto Clemente for the Pirates. Game 4 was in Pittsburgh, the first World Series night game. Hall of Famers in the series included umpire Nestor Shilak. For the Pirates, Roberto Clemente, Bill Mazeroski, and Willie Stargell. For the Orioles, Earl Weaver, the manager, Jim Palmer, Brooks Robinson, and Frank Robinson. In '71, the Pirates were the first team to have an all-black or Latino or black Latino starting lineup. The Orioles had 4 20-game winners: Mike Cuellar, Pat Dobson, Jim Palmer, and Dave McNally. They're the first team to have 4 20-game winners since the 1920 White Sox. Before the World Series, Roberto Clemente had a bad case of food poisoning, and he was on an IV. Games 1 and 2 were in Baltimore, and the Orioles won 5-3 and 11-3, with Dave McNally and Jim Palmer the winning pitchers, and good hitting by Frank Robinson and Brooks Robinson. Games 3, 4, and 5 were in Pittsburgh, and Game 3, the Pirates won that game 5-1. Steve Blass threw a 3-hit complete game. Bob Robertson had a 3-run home run. Game 4 was at Three Rivers Stadium again, and this was the night game. 61 million viewers. The Pirates won 4-3 behind Bruce Keeson on the mound. Roberto Clemente, when he batted, the organist was playing Jesus Christ Superstar, which was the title theme of a Broadway musical that just opened. Game 5, the Orioles... Pirates won that game 4-0. Nelson Briles got the win. Game 6, Baltimore won that game 3-2 in 10 innings. And Game 7, 6 and 7 were back in Baltimore. Game 7, Steve Blass against Mike Cuellar. Pirates won 2-1. Roberto Clemente hit .414 in the World Series, and as MVP received a new Dodge Charger car from Sport Magazine. Clemente was America's first true Puerto Rican TV star. Now, after Game 2, the Orioles were up 2-0 in the series, and Jim Murray of the Los Angeles Times wrote, quote, "This World Series is no longer a contest. It's an atrocity. It's the Germans marching through Belgium, the interrogation room of the Gestapo. It's as one-sided as a Russian trial. The Pirates should ask where they go to surrender. It should rank with such other great contests of history as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the Yellow Fever epidemic, and the bombing of Rotterdam." Game 3 in Pittsburgh, in the bottom of the 7th, the Pirates were leading 2-1. Roberto Clemente hit a bouncer back to Mike Cuellar on the mound. And Oriole manager Earl Weaver described, quote, "the most memorable play of the series. The one that I think turned it around, the key to the series, when Clemente ran hard after tapping the ball to Cuellar on the mound. Cuellar took his time, looked up, and Clemente was charging to first, and it surprised him, and he threw it off target. He pulled Boog Powell off first, and Clemente was safe. And then Cuellar was rattled and walked Stargell, and Bob Robertson hit a 3-run home run. Game 4, Pirates pitcher relief pitcher Bruce Keyson entered the game in the first inning with 2 outs, and he threw 6 1/3 innings of shutout ball, helping the Pirates win that game 4-3. Game 5, Nelson Briles of the Pirates had a shutout. And in the 8th inning, when Briles was batting, he got a standing ovation, and Briles was crying at home plate. I'm reading a fine book. The title is Clemente, The Passion and Grace of Baseball's Last Hero by David Moranis, 2006. David Moranis wrote that some baseball analysts said, quote, "Their perspective is legitimate, but to people who appreciate Roberto Clemente, this is like chemists trying to explain Vincent van Gogh by analyzing the ingredients of his paint. Roberto Clemente was art, not science. Every time he strolled to the batter's box or trotted out to right field, he seized the scene like a great actor." Steve Blass said, quote, the rest of us were just players. Roberto Clemente was a prince." Game 6 in Baltimore, bottom of the 10th, Frank Robinson scored from third on a fly ball to center field by Brooks Robinson, caught by Vic Davalillo, who threw home late. Clemente finished after he finished the World Series. He played in 14 World Series games and hit in every game, had a 14-game World Series streak going back to 1960. After Game 7, Clemente was being interviewed by Bob Prince, and he spoke in Spanish to his parents in Puerto Rico and said, quote, "En el día más grande de mi vida, para los nenes la bendición mía, y que mis padres me echen la bendición." And that, which means, in the most important day of my life, I give blessings to my boys and ask that my parents give their blessing. Roberto Clemente said, quote, "If you have the chance to accomplish something that will make things better for people coming behind you, and you don't do that, you are wasting your time on earth." Game 2 of the World Series, Brooks Robinson had 3 run-scoring singles and 2 walks to tie Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, the only players to reach base safely 5 times in one World Series game. Again, back to the September 1st, the Pirates with the all-black lineup. Bruce Markison wrote about the Pirates. He said, quote, "No team had been more aggressive in signing Latin American and African American stars from the mid-60s to the mid-70s. After one game, Danny Murtaugh, the manager, said, quote, after that game, Danny Murtaugh said, quote, "Did I have 9 blacks out there? I thought I had 9 Pirates out there on the field. Once a man puts on a Pirates uniform, I don't notice the color of his skin. When it comes to making out the lineup, I'm colorblind, and my players know it. During the game, Dave Cash said to Al Oliver, quote, "Hey, Scoop, we got all brothers out here." World Series Game 1 in Baltimore, Dave McNally against Doc Ellis. Doc Ellis said before the game, quote, "If it wasn't for baseball, I'd be in jail today. Thefts, that was my problem, thefts and gang wars. Many a night I never went home, I slept in the park. Who knows where I'd be now if it wasn't for baseball." In Game 1, the Orioles' Merv Rettenmund had a 3-run home run. Before the game, Ellis said that the American League was inferior, and he said, quote, "That's why they call it the junior circuit." McNally had a complete game 5-3 victory. The Orioles were down 3-0 early, but they won the game. In Game 2, First Lady Patricia Nixon threw out the first pitch. Orioles won 11-3. Games 3, 4, and 5 again were in Pittsburgh. Game 3, Steve Blass against Mike Cuellar, and Bob Robertson missed the bunt sign, but hit a 3-run home run. Willie Stargell said, quote, "It was a hell of a bunt, a perfect bunt, a beautiful bunt. You can be in this game all your life and never get a chance to bunt 3 runs in." And he came into the dugout. Robertson said to manager Danny Murtaugh, quote, "I guess I fouled it up, huh?" And Murtaugh said, quote, "Possibly, but under the circumstances, there will be no fine." Pirates won that game 5-1. Game 4, the Pirates won 4-3, and Milt May had the game-winning hit. The series was tied 2-2. Game 5, the Pirates won that game. Nelson Briles had a complete game shutout. Now, regarding that standing ovation when he was batting and crying in the 8th inning when he said, quote, "I've never done that before, but I couldn't help it. I don't know how to take it. All sorts of things flashed through my mind in a matter of seconds. All the people who were good to me. The people who gave me encouragement when I was down, my high school coach and the other coaches I had, my wife, my family, the things they've given me." So the Pirates were up 3-2 in the series, games 6 and 7 in Baltimore. Game 6, Jim Palmer against Bob Moose. The Orioles won 3-2 in 10 innings. Of course, Frank Robertson again scored the game-winning run. Game 7 was Mike Cuellar against Steve Blass. The 4th inning, Roberto Clemente hit a home run. In the 8th inning, it was 1-0 Pirates, and Jose Pagan had an RBI double. And then it was 2-0 Pirates. In the bottom of the 8th, the Orioles had 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. There was a ground ball out, and Elrod Hendricks scored to make it 2-1. And Mark Belanger was at 3rd base. The bottom of the 9th, it was 2-1 Pirates. Steve Blass on the mound. The last out, Merv Rettenmund had a ground ball to Jackie Hernandez, who fielded and threw the ball to Bob Robertson at first to end the game and the World Series and make the Pirates champions. On December 31st, 1972, Roberto Clemente was on an airplane flight from Puerto Rico to Nicaragua, earthquake relief. Shortly after takeoff, the plane crashed into the ocean and Clemente died at age 38. Bruce Markison wrote, quote, "The 1971 Pirates proved conclusively, and really for the first time, that a pool of athletes representing a variety of backgrounds and nationalities could work together effectively and win a World Series championship. For that reason, they deserve to be called the team that changed baseball." The 5-year waiting period was waived for Roberto Clemente, who was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1973. Now, regarding Danny Murtaugh, Dick Young wrote, quote, "This beautiful man related to all people, young, old, white, black, star, or scribini. He ran a loose clubhouse. There was always some kind of hilarity, wisecracking, practical joking going on in the clubhouse before a game. You walk in and you can't tell if the team is in 1st or 4th. Same way with Danny Murtaugh. It had to be a reflection on him." Now, after the World Series, the awards, the MVPs were given from the American League. Vida Blue of the Oakland Athletics, and the National League MVP, Joe Torre of the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cy Young Award, Vida Blue of the A's, so he was MVP and Cy Young winner. And the National League Cy Young winner was Ferguson Jenkins of the Chicago Cubs. So that's the story of the 1971 Cleveland Indians. They had a tough year, but they were our guys. They played for us. God bless the guys who played for the Cleveland Indians in 1971 and everyone else associated with the team, including the fans, especially the Second World War veterans, Korean War veterans, and Vietnam War veterans. Captains of the Cuyahoga, lovers of Lake Erie, Terminal Tower Power, fans of the Free Stamp statue and the Fountain of Eternal Life, Euclid Avenue Electricity, Severance Hall Stalwarts, Cleveland Museum of Art enthusiasts, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum Rebels, Christmas Story House Happy People, Museum of Contemporary Art Maniacs, Cleveland Botanical Garden Goers, Old Arcade Admirers, Playhouse Square Seers, Settlers Landing Park Purists, Western Reserve Historical Society Wonders, First Energy Stadium Friends, Progressive Field Pals, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse Renegades, Cuyahoga Valley National Park Pioneers, Great Lakes Science Center Supporters, Holden Arboretum Enjoyers, and Cleveland Public Library Learners. Tribe, Browns, Cavs, Monsters, Gladiators, and Fusion rule. And Spiders, Bulldogs, Rosenblums, Barons, Rams, Crusaders, Force, Crunch, Lumberjacks, and Rockers rule. Cleveland, City of Champions. Cleveland is the best location in the nation on the north coast of America. New York is the Big Apple. Cleveland is a plum. It's been 71 years since 1948. This is our year. Go Tribe. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History, with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.